Conquering adversity. The feeling of being mentally lost and not knowing which way to turn is the worst feeling that I have ever known. I sat with my head between my knees and knew that no matter how the situation unfolded, I would never, ever be the same. I cried and cried, hands shaking. I bent over to comfort a friend, even when I could not find comfort myself. The racing beat of my heart was so loud, I could not hear anything else. All I could do was pray over and over and over again. This was a moment in my life that could have completely destroyed me. It could have made me give up on life. But instead, I decided that I can, I will, I must overcome. We oftentimes forget that we decide how we will react to the adversity that takes place in our lives. See, the problem is today, too many of us are letting our adversity write the story of our lives. But today, it is time to take back our pens, open our books, and continue writing our own story. We will begin by opening our book and examining how our mindset influences our ability to cope with adversity. Next, we will look over our page and examine how adversity negatively impacts our ability to succeed. And finally, we will turn the page and ask ourselves, what can we do to overcome our own personal adversity, as well as adversity that is inherent in society today? Let's begin by opening our book and examining how our mindset influences our ability to cope with adversity. I believe we are all disabled. When you first think of disability, you may think of a wheelchair, or maybe even blindness. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines disability as a mental, physical, or cognitive condition that impairs with, limits, or interferes with our mind's ability to engage in certain tasks or actions. Yes, I believe we are all disabled. See, at the young age of 8 years old, I wanted to become the best neurosurgeon this world had ever seen. Now, at the age of 17, I'll settle for just being a neurosurgeon. Why? See, between the ages of 8 and 17, I began to see the harshness of the world. I began to see those who were against me. I began to see those who did not want me to succeed. As a result of this, a mental blockage was placed in my mind that told me I could not accomplish this idea. The seed that someone or something plants into our mind that grows if watered. At the beginning of this oration, I began telling you all about a life-changing moment. And now, I would like to go a little bit more in depth. This summer day had began just as all the rest had. As I got ready for my summer babysitting job, I remember thinking about how precious life is and how we should all cherish it. For some reason, I felt as if this day was going to be a great day, and this feeling lasted me all throughout the morning and into the afternoon. As the children started waking up from their afternoon naps, my boss and I decided to get all the children up. As I walked toward the bedroom door to awaken the sleeping child, I remember thinking about how lucky I was to have this job, and that I could imagine myself doing this for years and years to come. Opening the bedroom door, I walked to awaken the sleeping child, and the feeling of dread filled every inch of my being. A scream threatened to explode as I saw the still form lying in the crib, never to fill his lungs with life again. There is a point in each of our lives when we are faced with something that absolutely terrifies us. As we grow up, we realize that life is not always going to be easy. Life is not like a class that we can pass and never have to worry about again. Adversity has a way of coming into our lives time and time again. If we are not able to have a positive mindset when faced with adversity, we will never truly thrive in the face of adversity. Next, let's look over our page and examine how adversity negatively impacts our ability to succeed. As I saw the still form lying in the crib, never to fill his lungs with life again, a disability formed. This disability was guilt. Thinking that I could never atone for this incident. Maybe if I had gone in an hour earlier, or maybe even a few minutes, a family would not have been stripped of the chance to see their young child grow old. Thoughts like this swam through my mind for months and months upon end. There is one thing that I want each and every individual in this room to know. Love yourself. Know who you are and what makes you, you. I am me and you are you, and there is nothing anyone can do to change this. No matter how many times people try to bring you down, no matter how many times people try to insult you, no matter how many times people laugh in your face because they believe you cannot do it, you let them know who you are, and that there is nothing you can do to change who you are. Someone once told me turbulence is the price you pay for flying high. I read, studied, and digested a book entitled The Freedom Riders by Erin Gruwell and the Freedom Riders. She taught her students that knowing your history and knowing what others have gone through prepares your mind for when you go through something just as difficult. I am a Black female in America. And as statistics currently show, I do not have a great chance of becoming the neurosurgeon that I aspire to be. Looking back at history, there are only a handful of Black female neurosurgeons. But guess what? I will be part of those who make the path wider for those who come after me. I will not let this adversity keep me from accomplishing my goals. And maybe, just maybe, I'll even achieve my 8-year-old self dream and become the best neurosurgeon you've ever seen. If you let people define who you are, you have chosen smallness over greatness. Let me repeat that. If you let people define who you are, you, and only you, have chosen smallness over greatness. Finally, let's turn the page and ask ourselves, what can we do to overcome our own personal adversities as well as adversities that are inherent in society today? Having these adversities in our lives may feel as if a weight is on our shoulders. This weight may weigh us down so much we feel as if we cannot go on. Realizing that the child will never be able to ride his bike or even take his first steps was exceptionally heartrending. Stephanie Buxoveden was on her way to becoming an anesthesiologist, but adversity had a way of coming into her life and blocking that road for her. She was diagnosed with RRMS, a disease that attacks not only the brain, but the spinal cord. But instead of letting this adversity overcome her, she overcame her adversity and not only became a multiple sclerosis nurse, but also a motivational speaker to share her message around the world and show others what conquering adversity truly looks like. She says when faced with adversity, we have 3 options: deny, cope, or thrive. When faced with adversity, stand strong and know your worth. Disability is the greatest adversity we will ever face, but it is our responsibility to accept and embrace the fact that we can overcome. I have a God who is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that I could ever ask of him. I have a God who will be by my side no matter what hardships I go throughout life at any time. I have a God who I will never stop serving. And because of this, I have chosen to be great. Let us remember that we are the author of our own life stories, and no one can take that pen away from you. No matter the adversity, we have the decision to let other people write our stories or take back control and write it ourselves. Thank you.